Welcome to the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, the show that puts the spotlight on the incredible women who fuel the world of motorsports. From drivers to crew members, engineers to fans, and everyone in between, we're here to celebrate the trailblazers, dreamers, and doers shaping the sport we love. Each episode, we share inspiring stories of females of all ages from every corner of the motorsports universe, past, present, and future. It's a journey through the seasons of life filled with heartfelt moments, laughter, and a whole lot of horsepower. So whether you're a lifelong fan, a racer yourself, or simply curious about the extraordinary women behind the wheel, settle in, relax, and enjoy a fun and uplifting ride with us. This is the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, connecting and celebrating women in motorsports, one story at a time. Let's hit the track. Hello, everyone. This is Melinda Russell with the Women's Motorsports Network podcast. And my guest today is Sarah Roderick. And Sarah's coming to us from the other side of the world, as she said. We got her out of bed this morning. It's 5 a.m. there. So, Sarah, we apologize for the early time. It's only 2 o'clock in the afternoon here in Michigan. So we really are a world apart, but we have something in common, and that's motorsports. So if you would, at first here, would you share just a little bit about yourself, your family, your pets, where you live, any of those kinds of things, and we'll start there.
Obviously, I've been doing racing 37 years. My family have been doing it since they opened a racetrack called Surfers Paradise back in the 60s, I think it opened. They started it off early on, and then we moved to our racetrack down home in Brisbane of Willowbank, and I've been doing it pretty much as a crew member ever since. Kicked off racing in 2005, and I live up in Australia, but far north Queensland, up in Townsville. We have a bit of a rain event happening at the moment. It might form a cyclone, might not, which is our versions of hurricane. My daughter is almost 17. She still races as well. She's still in our junior dragster category. Because over here you can race until 18, so she's got 12 months left.
Okay.
Which is a big thing. It was as soon as you turned 17, you had to get out.
Yeah.
Now it's 18. Obviously I have a husband who used to race, but become a below-knee amputee and can't get into the race car that we have.
Okay.
And I feel like I have a farm at my house. I have 2 dogs, 2 cats, and 5 chickens.
Oh, gosh. So do you raise eggs? Is that why you have the chickens?
Yeah. We have an egg shortage in Australia.
Yeah. Well, the egg prices are so high over here that during the COVID, a lot of people that were able to started raising chickens. And like the girl that does my nails, she's still doing it. She loves her chickens. So
my chickens are family, definitely.
Yeah. Hers are too. They have names and the whole bit. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, our chickens also have names as well.
Yeah. So it's just like having another member of the family for sure.
Pretty
much. So Sarah, you've said you've been racing 37 years. You don't look like you're much over 37. So did you start as a baby, or how did you get started in racing, and who got you started?
My family, my uncle used to race, and I was at the racetrack from 6 weeks old.
Okay. So you really have been there for 37 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So when did you get interested enough that you started racing, and how did you get started?
I wanted to start as soon as they brought in the junior dragsters, which I think come in over here around 1995. I wanted one so bad, but my mum wouldn't let me. So I had to wait until 2005 till I was old enough. I had my driver's license, and I did the Ken Lowe's drag race school, and Ken's a fellow American. And he come over and set up a drag race school, so I had a chance to do it then, which was a lot of fun back in 2005.
Yeah. So how old were you in 2005? Roughly.
17. Roughly.
Okay. Yeah. And was that something that not many girls were doing at that time?
There wasn't a lot of girls doing it now.
Mm-hmm. So
It's
you were
very
you kind of broke the ice for them.
pretty much.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
might have been girls like racing street cars and maybe junior dragsters, but girls really weren't someone that was racing a lot back at the time.
Okay. So you started in a junior dragster, or did you start in something bigger? Because you were already 17.
We started in what we call modified dragsters, which I think is equivalent to your super comp cars.
Okay.
We just race over here under Die Your Own.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of fun. You could have an 8-second car versus 6-second car sort of thing.
Okay. And you've done that since you were 17. You're still racing.
I am still racing. I'm just in a different category now.
Okay. So tell me, what happened to you between the time you were 17 now?
Raced on and off. It's not something I did all the time. In 2008, I had my daughter, so I couldn't race then at all. Went back to racing street cars because that was probably more fun and more affordable. And in 2015, I jumped into a different category, racing my now husband's car. At the time, he had a Pontiac Grand Prix that Kenny Delco won Gator Nationals in a long time ago in our top sportsman category, and we've recently just stepped into our performance category into super comp, and I have a Bantam Ultra I race in that.
Okay. So you've kind of experienced a lot of the different steps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the fastest you've ever gone?
That would be 7:47 recently in the altered.
Wow. Wow. And do you have a goal? Like, I want to go, this is what I want my time to be, or go this fast?
I'm happy with where the car is because it's performance based and I have an index and I don't want to smack it around too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've already lowered it. We've gone from our 770 down to I think 748.
Wow.
That wasn't me. That was the other guy.
Still.
There's still more in, I know my car definitely. No. I was happy running a 7-second pass.
Okay, yeah, I would think so. That's pretty good. I can't even imagine going that fast. So what's the most, what's your favorite thing about being involved in motorsports?
Just the friendships that you build along the way.
Yeah.
You could have raced him 10 minutes ago and next minute you're drinking beer in the pits together.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I miss about drag racing and what drag racing should be about.
Right. And is that, like, do you go to the same track most of the time to race, or do you travel around?
We do
Australia?
travel a little bit. I've got 2 racetracks here in Far North Queensland. There's one in Central Queensland, one down in Brisbane. So we travel a little bit.
Okay. And then you said your daughter races too. Does she go and race at the same tracks then that you do?
Wherever I go, she goes.
Uh-huh.
This is her final season, so we're traveling a little bit more this year.
Yeah. Yeah, because she's going to be 18 and then she's not going to get to do that. Will she continue in some other kind of car?
Yeah, we've got another car planned for her.
Okay. So it's going to be mother-daughter racing, yeah.
We will continue the mother-daughter.
Yeah. That's very cool. And what is her name, Sarah?
Ashley.
Ashley. Okay. I want to write that down. So when you were first into racing, what was your biggest challenge? What was the hardest thing for you?
Probably the same thing it is today, being the only girl, usually in the category.
Yeah. And so how are you treated by the other people?
There's a lot more, she can't do that mentality. So I feel I have to prove myself a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Which I really wish would stop.
Has it always been that way? Has it gotten better? It's gotten worse? The same?
It's probably the same.
Really? And that's just because you're the only one. There's not other women. Do you think that's why, or what's the story?
In my current category, super comp, there is another girl who races a couple times a year. Where I race all the time, I don't care. And a lot of the guys here in Queensland know that if you doubt me, I'll go and prove you wrong.
Uh-huh.
I go out swinging for the fences nearly every time. And I don't beat myself up if I lose. It's like, well, if I lose, I lose. It's
right.
Where when I first started, they're like, oh, she's new to this. She's an easy beat. And I actually won my first ever race meeting I attended. So I'm one girl that people underestimate.
Uh-huh.
And they normally get stung every time.
Yeah. And that's usually what happens. If somebody underestimates their opponent, they usually get beat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overconfidence and all that, for sure.
Mm.
Yeah. So do you work on the car too?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you like that part of it? And how have you learned all the things about the car?
Well, when we got that car, it was just a rolling chassis. We put our first little Chev engine in it, and we had to learn to put it all together. So there was countless hours and nights in the shed putting that car together, driving to the race shop to buy parts, and then we sold that engine. We put a new one in, then we had to do it all again. So
Yeah.
I think I know every single nut and bolt on that race car.
And that's a good feeling, isn't it?
It is, that I can sit there and go, hey, I put that on, or I did that.
Uh-huh.
A lot of the times, because I'm exceptionally busy on race day, obviously with Ashley and myself, the boys do the in-between round maintenance where they just check valve springs. I pack my own parachute. That's probably the only rule on the team is I'm the driver, I have to pack it.
Okay. So is that a common rule that the driver packs their parachute?
Pretty much, because that way if it doesn't come out, it's on you.
Yeah.
Someone else in the team isn't getting yelled at because the chute didn't come out.
Right. And I would almost think I'd rather pack my own anyway, so that I know that it's all been done correctly.
That first time it comes out, you go, yes, I packed it right.
I was going to ask you, have you ever had it not come out?
On the weekend, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
So then what happens?
A lot of things going through my head. I carefully applied the brakes. I have a suspension car, so it didn't bounce or anything, and I pulled the car up just shy of turning off the racetrack from 166 mile an hour.
Wow. Yeah. And it only takes one little thing that isn't done to make that happen.
It wasn't on me. I didn't make the mistake on that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the crew chief who made a mistake.
Uh-oh. Yeah. That's not good. So
that's right. I didn't talk to my husband for an hour.
Yeah. Did he just buy some insurance, or no? I'm just kidding. I'm starting
to think that.
I'm just teasing. So, what do you think it takes to be successful in motorsports as a woman or a man? I mean, you don't just jump in the car and be successful. What do you think it takes to get there?
Endurance. You've got to ride the highs and the lows. You just got to keep pushing.
Yeah. Not give up.
Yeah. It's the never give up attitude. It's even when things are going wrong, you just never give up.
Yeah. And the one thing we know is that we're going to lose more than we're going to win. So you have to go into it with a good attitude already, knowing that the odds are against you really every time you go out there. So when you do win, it's an even bigger high, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I fully agree with that.
Yeah. So now you're doing your car, you're helping Ashley, you're a mom, you have all those responsibilities, wife. Do you work a job somewhere too?
I do.
Yeah. So you've got all those things happening. How do you balance, taking care of yourself, getting all of that done, making sure the race cars are ready? How do you balance all that?
I find I try and allot some time. Whether it's of an afternoon, I go drive down to the water, where it's a place we call the Strand, where you can walk along there. I'll just go for a walk because I love to sit by the ocean and just smell the ocean breeze. Obviously, I can't at the moment with all the rain around.
Yeah.
But I also like to craft.
You like to craft?
I do.
Oh, so do I.
Nearly every sticker on my race car is I've designed.
Really? And so, what kind of crafts do you do besides stickers?
I create funny things on coffee cups, things like that.
So, do you use a Cricut?
I do.
Oh, that's what I use. So, we have that in common. I do all
love that
kinds of
thing.
crafts. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
make
that's
things
cool.
that it's usually drag racing related or something funny.
Mine are all probably 80% of what I do are racing related. And then I have some that are dog related, family, odds and ends of things. But
Well, I bought my Cricut originally for my wedding, and I think I used it for a couple things for my wedding.
Yeah.
And the rest was drag racing.
Yeah. I love mine and I love doing it. So that's relaxing, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, it really is. And people who don't have a hobby, whether it's crafting or photography or whatever, don't understand that those are things that take your mind off of racing or family or whatever. And it's just relaxing and fun to do. Yeah.
100, definitely 100%. And obviously, I had a brain injury last year, so it's nice to try and get my brain to slow down a little bit.
Okay. So was that because of racing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you had some kind of accident.
Well, I had a really, really bad tire shake in my car.
Oh.
To the point that I actually whipped in the car, like got a whiplash in my neck, but I hit my head against the roll cage 4 times really, really hard.
Wow.
We made changes straight after that pass, but the damage was already done.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's nice to sit down and do some craft and forget about my day for 10 minutes.
So after that happened, did you have to sit out from racing for a while?
No, I actually kept racing the race meeting because everyone's like, oh, your headache's normal, it's tire shake. I'm there going, are you so sure about this? I don't think so. I didn't return. That was back in June of last year. I did not return to really full-time racing till January.
Okay. So that's good. You took time off to heal and feel better. Yeah.
I'm still not 100%, but my doctor said I could race.
Okay. Because, I mean, that's something that, there's a lot of discussion around that, not just in racing, but football and all kinds of sports, head injuries, concussions, etc. And you used to not hear really much of anything about it. And I think at least in the United States, NASCAR has really put the hammer down about checking for that. And after Dale Jr. had his and he came out and talked about it, I think it's much more not obvious. It's much more in the news with people, and they're much more willing to talk about it and say, hey, I'm not messing around. I only have one head, and I got to make sure it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm like that over here. We have the roll bar padding that we have to use. It's quite hard. It's an SFI one. But my teammate's car was at the racetrack, but not racing. And they pulled the ISP padding out of that car and put it straight into my car.
Mm-hmm.
And we then tightened up my hybrid. We made so many changes to my safety. I feel confident getting in the car, but every day is a struggle still.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see how it would be. And if you don't take care of yourself, it always will be. So you have to be careful, and that's where the balance comes in. You have to take care of yourself first before you go back to racing. Yeah, for sure.
And I did, and on the weekend, Ashley didn't give me an option. I went down the left-hand lane. That's the lane where I hit my head, and I was petrified of that lane. Having the flashbacks, I'm not going to lie, there was a mini breakdown in the staging lanes and a lot of emotions.
Yeah. Well, I can see how that would be, because that's a life-changing thing that happened, and you're, bringing that all back has to be very difficult.
Yeah. I overcome it and had a smile on my face, but I still deal with obviously the constant headaches and the speech issue is probably the one remaining thing from this.
Okay. I don't notice anything like that. So
With me, when I talk, I pause a little bit longer because I'm trying to get the right words out.
okay. Well, sometimes I do that too, Sarah, and it's because I'm 69 years old.
We use it as, sorry guys, I can't brain today. Haven't had enough coffee.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, uh, different reason for it, but I understand for sure.
It's frustrating.
It is frustrating, especially when I can't think of somebody's name or I can't think of the word I want to use. And
That's me
yeah,
every day.
it's frustrating. So, on a race weekend, do you have any superstitions or do you like, I always eat the same thing, I always do this, I wear the same thing? Any superstitions at all?
I only get in the car from one side.
Okay.
I will not get in the other side. I will not get out the other side. I only get in from the left.
Okay. All right. And
I
then
always put my left foot in first.
real, yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. I can see how that might be easier than to get in doing that. Yeah. But no, do you always have somebody fist bump or that's
Yes,
just it?
we do that every time I'm about to go on a pre-stage. Ash will come fist pump me, and I've started doing the same thing with her as well.
Okay. All right.
After I finish doing what I have to do with her car on the start line.
Yeah. So you said, oh, your mother didn't want you having a car back in the day, and then you raced, and so you probably had a different attitude when Ashley wanted to race. But how is it different from being the one in the car going down and racing and being the mother of a girl going down racing? How's that different?
I'm ready to fight more. If one of the dads says something inappropriate, I will pounce because she's a girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I think spending years of, sort of being bullied in a way for being a girl, I got no time for it.
Well, it's one thing to stand up for yourself. It gets old after a while. And you finally have to just say, oh, the heck with it. I just let it go. But if it's your kid, now you're poking the mama bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I'm probably a lot more defensive over her.
Mm-hmm.
But within saying that, she's just as protective over me.
Yeah. Yeah. And are there very many girls that race against her?
In the junior dragster category, I think we had something like 39 cars over the weekends. I think over half the field was girls.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I've noticed, that junior dragsters have a lot of little girls.
Yeah. I noticed that following pages in America, just go, wow, look at these girls. And then you look at ours and go, wow, there's a lot of girls.
Yeah. There's a lot of girls in junior dragsters. And, I think the top people in NHRA and that, I think there's a lot of women. So I think that encourages that for sure. But yeah, there are a lot of girls. And I even see more and more girls, at least over here, in all types of racing, in all classes. We just had a big, they call it the Tulsa shootout, and there was a lot of girls there. So I think more and more girls, at least over here for sure, are getting into it. So do you think it's a good sport for girls to be in?
I do, yes. As long as they come in with the right attitude. We don't have a lot of progression over here for the girls, but we are working on that, where a lot of women racers that are in the higher ranks will look after, do a mentoring program for like the junior dragsters, whether you've got the dragster girls or the young girls that race junior dragster bike as well.
Okay. And that'll encourage those girls for sure.
Mm-hmm. I know with part of my racing team, we have a graduate program for girls and girls only.
Nice.
Which is why my jumper says, yeah, the girls.
Uh-huh.
That's one of our biggest slogans is, yeah, the girls.
I like it.
where we support over here the next generation of racers.
Well, you have to, or what's going to happen?
Yeah. Women over here struggle to succeed, especially in motorsport of all kinds, which is a shame, honestly.
It is a shame. And when you say they struggle to succeed, is that a culture thing over there more? Or is it just sports?
I think it's mainly the sport. Like if they want to get to like the next level and move up, they got to fight. They got to put in the hard yards just to get to, buy a car and get, sponsorship and things like that. Which, if you're a guy, they can sort of go, "Hey, I race this car." They're like, "Here, here's money." Where the girls have just got to fight for it, which is frustrating. I know this from a personal aspect.
Well, and that's true here too. Although it maybe is a little easier here because there are more girls, but it's still difficult. I mean, it's I interview some girls and that have 30 sponsors. I don't know how they do it.
I wish.
And that's not to say that they're big money sponsors, but whatever they do, maybe one of them is the person that does the wrap for the car. That's a few $1,000s. I mean, it adds up. And so it's hard here too for the women. They have to work harder to get the sponsors. But once they show that they're successful and they can go back and show their sponsors. And the thing that I always try to remind people is typically women are more loyal to their sponsors. And there's some things that go along with that. Women are the largest buying power in the home. So they make the biggest decisions about what's purchased. And those are things we have to remind people when we go out to ask for sponsorship. Yeah, for sure. So what's a piece of advice that you've gotten that maybe you've kind of hung on to, or some kind of quote other than the girls?
Piece of advice I got when I was racing: don't be afraid to lift. There's always another race meeting.
That's a good piece of advice.
I may have completely ignored that advice in June.
I didn't say you had to take I didn't say you had to take the advice. I just asked you if you'd gotten any.
I have, and what was that advice again?
Yeah. Well, I think people that race have a different mentality about some things. And going fast and not giving up is one of those. And lifting would feel like giving up a little bit. And that's hard to do, but for your safety, it's like they said, there's always another race. Yeah, for sure.
I'm apparently not allowed to freak out my family and crew anymore.
No, we're not going to freak out your family. So do your parents, now your mother used to not want to watch you race. Are they supportive now? Yeah, I figured. Because you're older.
I think that has something to do with the grandchild as well that races.
I was just going to say, now that Ashley's racing, it's probably they're not going to miss that, and so they've joined the team. Let's say
my dad still thinks I'm crazy, but
it's
only because of the speeds I'm going.
Right,
it's nothing bad.
So was it his brother that used to race?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's been around it a long time. It's just like you said, having your daughter race is a different deal.
Well, they used to race street cars, and then my uncle moved sort of more into the actual race car side of it, and that's like my dad was his crew for over 40 years.
Yeah. So he knows enough about it. Yeah. For sure.
He still thinks I'm crazy, but anyway.
So do you find that when you're at the track, do you attract maybe more fans or get a little bit more attention because you're one of or the only woman? Yeah.
That's why before we go to every major race meeting, one of our sponsors, she prints us more Yeah the Girl stickers because they are super, super popular.
I bet.
I think the team gave out over 100 stickers on the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, hey, would you like a sticker? They're like, can I? And they're like, here, have 3.
Yeah. And you're going to see them everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to be on the car and their book bag and wherever they, you know, because that's just how it is. And I figured that you probably got more attention. And Ashley, too. Yeah.
Once they realize that Ashley not only drives that little black car, because her car's wrapped black, but she's also backing up her mum in the white and purple altered. So,
yeah.
And the commentators on the weekend, because we just went back and watched the footage, while I'm out there doing my thing, the commentator's talking about Ashley.
Yeah.
About what she's doing.
Right. They got to fill the space, so they got to talk about you and her.
I'm like, hang on a minute. I'm on the start line here, but that's cool. I'll share the spotlight with my daughter.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But they know her personal aspects, so.
Well, and, you know, mother-daughter team, you don't see a lot of those. And so it's worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So when you have a bad day at the track, other than, let's not talk about the day you hit your head, because that'd be extreme. But another bad day, just the car broke, you didn't do well, you know, whatever. When you have a bad day at the track, what do? How do you handle it?
I normally put in my headphones and just ignore everybody.
Okay. Do you have men or team or whatever come up and say, oh, you did this, you need to do this? Do they try to tell you, or do they know enough to just leave you alone?
My crew's smart enough not to say anything.
Yeah.
I'm normally going, what did you change? What did you do?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not really involved too much in the decision making of the car. I now am. After, you know, that bad day in June.
Yeah.
I'm asking questions. Like, what are you changing? Like, don't change 20 things, change one thing. And we made changes on the weekend and it worked. And then one of the runs, it went towards the center line. And I got back and I said, what was that? And they're like, oh, we forgot to do the tires.
Yeah.
Headphones in and I walked away.
Right. And they know. Yeah. Because I'm guessing they were there when you had your accident.
Same crew.
So they know. But people are people. And I know that at a racetrack, in between races and different things, it can get very hectic. And I'm not making excuses for them.
Oh, no, I understand that. If you live a day in my life at a racetrack.
This is what happens. And so we have to double check each other. Right? Yeah.
They're okay with that now. And obviously after the mishap in Q1, my brother double checked everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And he doesn't race. No.
He's raced his street car before. We actually race each other.
Okay.
But he would rather save his money up and buy a house.
Well, good for him. That's good. That's okay.
But he loves being on the journey with Ashley and I. He actually tows my car to the staging lanes and from the bottom end because I don't like to be in the car.
Okay.
If I can get out of it, I will.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a race car. They're not something you want to sit in for a long period.
No, and there's not that much room in there.
No.
I'd be claustrophobic.
I'm okay with that because I got the padding, so if you see me, I might be asleep in my race car. It's just the seat is hard and it hurts my backside.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not cushy seats, that's for sure. Not any that I've seen anyway.
No, I haven't seen a race car with a comfortable seat yet.
No.
I wish.
So, do you use social media to promote what you do, you and Ashley?
We do. We've got a couple of social media pages that we do use.
Okay.
We have our own Roderick Family Racing one and then our Steer Motorsport one.
And what was the last one you said?
Steer Motorsport.
Okay. All right.
That's where our Yeah the Girls is.
Okay.
We haven't posted too much on that recently because we need the second car out.
Yeah.
Because I miss having a teammate, so someone else to be on the camera because
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of it. And our Roderick Family Racing, that's just our family page.
Okay. All right.
Where I'm getting ready to, now I've finally caught up on some sleep. I'm going to do up some videos with Ashley to upload across the pages, because I actually had a GoPro on the side of the roll cage where I can go, come for a run with me.
Nice.
You can't see too much of what I'm doing in the car, but you can see enough.
That's going to be cool. That'll be cool to watch. Yeah.
We watched it last night. I'm like, okay, we just need to angle that camera a little bit more.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that'll be cool.
It does look really cool because it shows how quickly you go from that start line to that finish line.
Oh, yeah, I can't even imagine.
And when we finally work out where to mount one in the car, I'm going to show what I do behind the steering wheel. But that video probably won't come up until probably around May.
Okay.
April, May, when we next go racing in that car.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you that. When does your racing really start?
Well, in Australia at the moment, we're in our wet season.
Mm-hmm.
So in Queensland, between, I think it's September and I think March, it's cyclone season. So it's currently raining here. We got through our race meeting, even though it was postponed by 2 weeks, and we race pretty much up until December now.
Okay. All right.
There's a race meeting somewhere in Australia at the time. I think there is a couple down in Brisbane. There's our Warwick Dragway one on the 8th of February, which we're not attending because I'm in Far North Queensland and I need to work.
Yeah.
And then we have our local race meeting down at Willowbank, I think the following weekend. But for us Far North Queenslanders, it normally doesn't kick off to around March, April, because of the rain.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of what I figured, like March or April, I was figuring. Yeah.
Yeah, especially up here because the rain is quite hectic, I think. I looked at the weather app this morning and we've had something like 82 mil of rain since yesterday.
That's crazy. Well, it's snow season in Michigan, but today it's one of the nicest days. I think it was going to be 40 today. Last week at this time it was a negative like 10. So we've had it all, and the sun is out, which is very unusual for Michigan in the winter. So we finally got some sunshine, but it's our winter season, so we don't start racing here till end of April, maybe. I mean, it could still be pretty cold then, but the bravest ones will get out.
That's crazy. You guys are in your winter season going, oh, April is still a bit cold. That's when we start moving into our colder months.
Yeah.
And when you say 40, I sit there and go, 40? Over here, it's like we're like 40 degrees Celsius. So it's hot over here.
Yeah. Totally different. We really are on the other side of the world.
You've got snow and I have heat and rain and humidity.
Yeah. I have Australia is one of my bucket list places to go. I've met so many wonderful women that race over there. Racing is big, and it depends on where in Australia you are, but racing is big in Australia, and there are places where there are more women, than where you are and what you're up to. But that's just one of the places I've always wanted to go. So it's on my
opinion is, if you could get an opportunity to come up to our Winter Nationals, which is at Willowbank in June, you're either going to be absolutely freezing or stripping a jumper because it's hot. It's a Queensland summer. It's not super cold.
Okay.
It might be cold first thing in the morning, but by 9 o'clock you're taking jumpers off because it's hot.
Okay. So
to give you a perspective of the weather where I am currently, at 5:45 in the morning, it is 26 degrees Celsius, 96% humidity.
Wow. So it's pouring down rain.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is currently my weather.
Oh yeah. It's a good time to be inside, that's for sure. Yeah.
Most definitely. And I don't have to go to work today,
so it's all good.
I will just spend my day relaxing and probably playing around with the footage and seeing what we can create to upload from the weekend.
Okay.
Everyone's already uploading theirs. I'm like, yeah, I had to drive back to far north Queensland. And that
Yeah.
was nearly 15 hours we were in the car to drive home.
Wow. That's a long trip. Wow.
I can jump on a plane and it takes me an hour and a half, but if I have to drive a car, it's 14 and a half hours.
Oh, yeah. That's a long haul for sure. Dang.
And I'm the weird one. I don't stop. I just drive straight through.
No
Normally
wonder
gets my
you're
house.
exhausted. And then you got up early to be on the show. So I think what you need to do is take a nap today.
I'll probably take several naps knowing me.
There you go. That's a good plan. Well,
Oh,
Sarah,
we will-
is there anything that we haven't talked about that we really should have talked about? Either your story, your racing, anything at all?
No, just my thing is, you know, we're working with going back to our women thing, we're actually moving into the graduate program later this year for Steer, where my co-founder Wayne has race cars, and we're setting up a graduate program for the girls, only girls, no guys allowed, where we have a slower dragster, which is probably going to run about 8 seconds for the kids. For the girls, I can't keep calling them kids. I told my daughter she'll be a kid when she's 30.
Yeah.
They start off in this car, and if their driving's quite well, they'll move up into our bigger car, which is going to race the same category as what I do.
Okay.
So it's all just about our girls, where we're trying ways to set them up to at least experience going really fast over the quarter mile, not eighth mile.
Yeah.
As I tell people, that's a whole different experience down there. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah. That's why we want the GoPro footage and stuff to show people.
Yes. It's one thing to sit in the stands and watch it. Then I've never been in the car, but I cannot even imagine
when
being
I tell
in the car.
Girls, I take this hand off the steering wheel and pull the parachute, they freak out. It's so sweet.
Yeah.
But
well, how else are you going to do it?
They're like, can't you push a button? I'm like, no. You pull a lever. And our girls that we support with, the girls, they're my biggest fans.
Yeah.
They not only look up to me going, hey, I want to do that, but they look up to Ash and go, we want to do it, like, we want to be as successful as her. Because this is a pretty impressive thing, she became a 10th woman in Australian drag racing history to win the Winter Nationals, which is probably a championship event. It happens in June, which is what I was just talking to you about. It goes for 4 days. And back in 2021, she became the 10th ever female to win that.
That's very cool. Yeah, good for her, and good for you, because she's had a good person to follow.
We were cheering. Like, there was a lot of tears.
I'm sure there was. Yeah.
It's like winning the U.S. Nationals equivalent. It's that big.
Yeah. Well, you tell her congratulations. That's great for sure.
Will.
Yeah. So we'll follow you and Ashley on social media, which I already do, but I want other people to follow. Yes. If you tag Women's Motorsports Network when you post, then it's easier for me to follow, because then I can find you much easier.
I will remind my social media guru when she wakes up to go to school.
Okay, there you go. And if I can, if there's ever anything that you want to talk about, promote, that's going on, you know how to reach out to me. I'd love to share. That's what I do, is I share what you do with the other women. And I have a lot of men that follow. There's a lot of men, honestly, that really encourage and support women in motorsports. And so I have a lot of men that follow people
I
too.
look at it and go, maybe a race meeting that we're at, we can work out the timing and I can get a whole group of my girls together.
Oh, that would be awesome. And we could do it live.
Yeah.
Because we can do, we could
racetrack.
We could do it live, and I'll get up in the middle of the night instead of you. How's that?
Yeah, we're supposed to all be sleeping in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
But it will definitely showcase everyone.
I would love to do that.
I think that'll be a definitely cool thing. We will definitely have to try to tee up
you've got to get that scheduled with me, and we'll make it happen, because I think that'd be a lot of fun.
I think definitely probably the Winter Nationals in June would be the
Yeah.
perfect time, because we've got girls from all around Australia.
Yeah.
And some that even come over from New Zealand to race.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm like, I could probably get them to set up tripods.
Yeah, for sure.
They're teenagers. Of course they're going to have all this fancy stuff, not an
Yeah.
iPad sitting on their legs.
Yes, absolutely.
Really.
Let's do that. That would be a great show. I'd love to do it.
That way we can introduce the world to the rest of the Australian and New Zealand girls.
That's right. That's right, for sure. Well, Sarah, I appreciate you getting up early and being on the show today. I know it's not an easy thing to do, and but I'm so happy that you were able to be on with me today. And yeah, let's get that show coordinated for June. I'm going to write it down so I don't forget. I'll reach out to you if I don't hear from you.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to speak to some of the mums and organize that and go, look, this is what I've just done. We're going to organize one in June at the internet, so we can all be sitting in the grandstands, which I think would be a pretty cool thing overlooking the racetrack.
Yeah, probably for sure.
Probably the most quietest place in the entire racetrack.
Yeah, probably. And, you know, if you come across other women, even Ashley, that would like to be on the show, I know the time difference is difficult, but, you know, I could do it later in the day.
She can get out of bed early too.
And, you know, we could do it. We could make it work so that it's not something tough for either one of us. And
well, I was actually talking to one of the mums of the girls I look after, Isabella, and I was telling her I was going to be on a podcast, and she's like, Mom, that would be awesome. And I'm like, hey, I'll talk. I'll send you some details.
Yeah.
Like, definitely go and promote yourself, young lady.
Absolutely. She's
actually looking forward to going and watching me on the podcast.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, we'll have it ready for you here very shortly, and I'll send you the link when it's ready, and then you can share it everywhere that you want. It'll be shared
all over my social media.
Absolutely. That would be wonderful.
Don't judge the 5 a.m. conversation, guys.
No, early for you and late afternoon for me. So
raining for me and not for you.
Yeah. So thank you for being on. I love your smile, and you have a good attitude, even though you've had some struggles. You have a really good attitude, and the fact that you're trying to help younger girls be successful and get involved, that's what we do. We connect and share women in motorsports, and so I appreciate all the work you're doing in that regard.
I'll do my part in Australia.
There you go. That's good. Thank you, Sarah.
Not a problem.
That's it for this episode of the Women's Motorsports Network podcast. We hope you've been inspired by the stories I shared today and feel more connected to the amazing community of women in motorsports. Remember, whether you're behind the wheel, in the pits, or cheering from the stands, your story matters. And together, we're driving change and celebrating every milestone. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who loves motorsports as much as you do. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and more incredible stories. So until next time, stay inspired, stay connected, and keep racing through life. This is the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, where every woman's story is worth celebrating.